enemy. Hold
Okay.
on. I'm sharing the Whoozy
Share
on
share.
interwebs.
Share. I look forward to Wednesdays.
All right, we are live.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Working Title Podcast here on the Live the Dream Media Network.
Yes.
A growing behemoth in digital marketing, conversation, and all that good stuff out there. We got our good friend Clint Peak is here.
Good morning. Good morning. Bless you.
Wow.
That was real.
Wowie, wow.
You
Sorry about
sneeze
that,
like a peak.
Oh,
that's how we sneeze. We let her rip.
Beautiful. Welcome back, everyone. It's Wednesday, and there's lots of stuff to cover out there. Marana is getting ready for their... I mean, who knew that a fries would change so many people's lives?
Yeah. 20 years in the making. 20 years to get that grocery store out there. Some serious ebb and flow took place during that.
You know, I know this is something that Marana has to tackle. And also, I did this last time. I forgot to say hello in the meat locker. We have our amazing friend, Dr. Ron Arenas.
Hey, how
are you doing? Raul's in
And
the
there's
back there.
Raul.
Good, yeah.
Welcome back. Appreciate all your efforts as always.
Let me plug real quick. Yesterday, Ron did with Southwest Flavor. If you haven't seen it, got to go check it out. An incredible podcast with Tim. Tim, help me out there.
Wagner.
Ron. Wagner. Great podcast. Go check it out on the Live the Dream Media app.
I heard there's an app. Where do you find this app?
It's on all the stores. It's
Wow.
free, and it's free.
So it's on the Apple Store.
The Apple Store.
It's on the Google Store.
Google Play.
And it's on my Commodore 64
yeah, I think
store.
so.
You said
Yeah,
all.
all of them.
Thank you.
Is Commodore still even around?
No.
I haven't heard it. I'm an old guy. Maybe I'm not keeping track.
See, one of the big things in our great town of Marana that even though you and I don't live in it, we love it.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of work in Marana as the leading community in the Southwest, is they have real situations with the that traffic going from one side of the interstate to the other.
You talking about Cotero?
Tangerine's a train wreck right now.
You know what they're going to do there, though? I think I've been pushing them hard to do this.
Yes.
Put a Moore Road exit, which would be just to, technically it would be west, but it would really be north.
Right.
And then funnel everything through there and then fix Tangerine. Because you're going to have to do it eventually.
So
why not do it the easy way rather than do it the hard way?
The biggest problem with any of that is you have to deal with the train.
Yeah.
The train people are a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They have certain federal right-of-ways and stuff that they don't have to... They're just difficult to work with.
I'm not ignoring you. I'm just looking something up.
That's okay. And I think that if I was going to do it, you do like a SWOT analysis of Marana.
Yeah.
Right? And you're talking about threat, right? Threat is that traffic. We know that Cortero's still rough to get through.
That's a much different problem there,
but
too,
still,
Chris. How do you fix? That's tough.
Well, I know it's like a...
You know what you got to do? It's
like 200 mil to do that, or some ridiculous number.
You got to do an East Coast thing on this, and you see this all over the East Coast. I've seen it in a few other Phoenix has got one of these. You do a eastbound only exit, especially on the westbound side. That'd be actually pretty easy.
Right.
You know, whatever that number, 240, it's a 240B. You kick them out over there, and there's plenty of room to land them. The eastbound going eastbound, now that's a little more difficult. Now you got to go over the top of this whole thing. But a simple solution would be westbound traffic, kick them off eastbound, because think about it, there's no track going this way. The problem is eastbound.
Sure. But so once that
But that's a big problem.
Once that fry's open, that fry's open, and you have the two fries on the tangerines. But there's people that are going to, well, you know, man, it stacks up so bad going westbound on Tangerine. It's
a
ugly.
mess.
Doesn't matter what time during rush hour, worse. But I remember we were going up to Phoenix like on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, they're backed out on the road.
I couldn't believe how bad it was, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh, I'm an idiot. I should be now going down getting on a Twin Peaks."
Yeah.
Instead of go to Tangerine, which...
Yeah. Well, my kid swears even coming this way, it's better. Coming east, it's better to go down to Twin Peaks and come back up.
Interesting.
I don't. For me,
I don't-
I'm not
I don't agree
buying
with
it.
that.
Yeah, anyway, he likes to drive, so yeah, he's a kid. He don't.
God
know
bless
about
him.
it, but somebody else told me they did that recently. Now, if there's a train on the track, you're probably better off. If you know for sure there's a train on the track, you probably are better off to go down to Twin Peaks.
Yeah, Marana's where all the hot stuff's happening. We got that. We got Marana School Board sign wars.
Are we going to get into that?
I had
Oh
Tom
my
Carlson
gosh.
on Wake Up
I heard
yesterday,
it.
and it's interesting when you put a little air tag in a political sign and someone steals the sign. And I've seen all the sign games.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I've seen the game camera
yeah,
on the sign.
yeah.
I've seen that. My old, not that she's old, she's very youthful. Adriana, she's my event planner for Wake Up, doing happy hours and stuff. She actually witnessed and filmed someone on her camera taking down signs on the east side.
Yeah.
And the lady was actually arrested and actually went to court and received some sort of punishment
Yes.
for doing it, which is rare.
Our good David Samorano, when he was still with Marana Police Department, actually went. Someone got the information of someone stealing a sign and went to their place of residence, and the sign was still in the back of the truck, and that person was arrested.
I know people hate the signs.
My hands up.
I understand that they hate the signs.
My hands up.
Now, I'm mixed on the signs. Now, I've heard some people, like Congressman Schweikert, who comes on the show. He's been in Congress now for 10, 12 years. He will tell you that mostly for signs, especially if you're a first, second time candidate,
Right.
it's for some reason a mental justification in the head of a potential donor that you're a real candidate.
Yep. Yep.
So if you don't have a sign up and you go, "Hi, I'm Clint. I'm running for Pima County Supervisor," they go, "What?"
Yeah, where you at? You know Edgar Soto? Good
Yes,
friend of
I do.
ours?
Absolutely.
He shared a podcast with me about not only that, but name recognition for a newer candidate.
Yep.
And there was some studies done. You might have heard that episode, but there were some studies done that they do. They're impactful early on.
So as a marketer, and you do marketing, right? I'm a big believer in the same person getting that message, but from multiple sources.
Yeah.
So it could be anything from an online ad, whether it's a YouTube video or their thumb scrolling, right? Or it could be a sign that's a billboard. It could be a political sign. Yeah. So if you see the name Soto, in 3 different sources in a 2-day period, it's going to start.
What's the old saying? I've got to see or be exposed to it 7 times, before I'm starting to pay attention.
Yeah,
For me, and I won't use the strong word. I despise the street signs, and yet I'm responsible for a lot of them that went up this.
So Sean McCluskey and I talk about he loves talking about signs. Him and I have that.
What's his take on them?
Well, we'll talk about first and foremost. Stop putting so much words on a political sign.
There you go. That's number one. That's number one.
It's not a brochure.
I'm gonna shout out a guy that I think does a great job on his signs. I think he's had a lot of coaching, and that's Juan Ciscomani. I think his signs from a just impact standpoint are perfect.
Yep.
Juan Ciscomani.
Congress.
That's
it.
And then paid for by over here in the corner, whatever.
And he has that little logo that looks like an American flag, but where the stars are, it's the state of Arizona.
Super effective, and they're big.
Yeah.
For the most of them are big.
They also, and his team understands traffic flow.
Yep.
And where to angle.
Yep.
He's actually told friends of ours.
He has.
No names. Just put your sign next to mine.
Just follow me.
Right. But there's ones that have too many words. Right?
We learned that. We made that mistake at Live the Dream Media with a candidate we were working with. Big picture, fine, attractive person.
Yep.
A lot of words. And then we realized, once we it looks great until you put it out.
Right.
And then when you put it out, you're like, somebody at 50 is going to see this. How about just you, your dog, and your name and your office?
So it's interesting. Schweikert literally he doesn't even put office anymore.
Yeah.
What he does is he's got a long name like Schweikert, right? So he buys long, thin signs where they're either his name It's interesting. He does them horizontally, but also vertically.
Mm-hmm.
So as you're driving through Phoenix, like Fountain Hills area, you'll just see a long vertical sign that just says Schweikert.
Yep.
Doesn't even say Congress.
Yep.
This is the story.
Yep. Name recognition.
That's all you're doing. You want multiple impressions of that name
Right.
over a short period of time. And also be a little original with your stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And also colors are important.
Yeah.
Right? I understand everyone thinks they need to do red, white, and blue because that's America.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
That's not what you should do.
Yeah.
So the best colors and this is what the Winfield gang used in Oro Valley. Bright yellow, black font.
Yep.
Have a nice day.
I'm a red and black guy a yellow and black with some red mixed in guy.
Yeah.
Think about it. McDonald's, a lot of red. A lot of yellow with a little red.
Yep.
The old school Shell gas station. It just jumps out at you. Now it's kind of hard. Blue is pretty that good blue. That good.
So you
dark
remember when
blue.
there used to be Mama's Hawaiian barbecues, and he had that loud pink, right? I remember asking Sam Alboy, the guy who owned those. I said, "What's with the color?" He goes, "It was the one color in the palette that wasn't being used on everyone else's sign."
You know, Sam is a good friend. I don't know if you know this
Anton
guy.
Chisholm, I
You
know.
Anton. They're good. They're like good buddies. Just had to throw that in there. A little inside humor here. You know, I guess, and see, I'm just kind of like old school. I don't want to be that old curmudgeon, but I kind of am on this. I don't want Christopher DeSimone voting for a candidate who's got a cool sign. I need a little more.
Why? You're buying your wine because it has a cool label?
Yeah. And again, I'm being hypocritical. Full disclosure, we produced a lot of signs this year. I just don't think they're as effective as people think they are.
You have to have them, but
You got to have them.
So look at Vince Leach, right? He defeats what's her face, right? And he had small little crappy signs.
Yeah.
Right. And he said, you know what he told me? I said, what's with the small crappy signs? He goes, there's better ways of marketing. I know we need to have signs, but I'm also getting sick of people stealing my big expensive signs.
Can I go down a rabbit hole with you on this? Really,
of course,
for real. Because here's what my real
maybe that's the name of the. There shouldn't be working
rabbit hole
podcast.
Here's my real, and I've had pretty heated discussions with people that I really like in leadership. Here's my biggest problem with signs. They are an exclusive protection sign. I'm paying the bills. I'm paying the freight as a small business owner, and I get reamed. I got to jump through hoops. I built some good relationships with the sign people. I'll refer Reed versus Gilbert, Supreme Court 9-0. They voted against the harassment that a small business owner gets for signs. That's my biggest thing. Is that
so you're
the politicians
saying, so as a small business,
have created this little bubble for themselves. These signs right now, Chris, have been up since May. Some of them have been up since May.
That's true. Well, whatever.
And if I run
60
out here,
days out
now
of
I push the limits because I'm challenging them, and people know it in this community. I challenge you because Supreme Court's already kind of given me my cover. 9-0, by the way. That's a pretty good cover. The harassment that I used to get and people in small business get with signs is if you've never dealt with it, it's unbelievable. And yet they can litter the streets from front to back.
Them and the realtors.
Yeah, and I use them as an example as well. The realtors and the politicians get a pass, and everybody else that's paying the freight just get run through. Do you know there is an international sign code? You know how big the town of Marana's sign code is? It's 37 pages. Stop it.
So what I always love about
Thank you for bringing this up because I feel a lot better. We'll talk about the she shed later.
You beat me to it. I was about to say the she shed attack.
Do you get where I'm coming from, though?
Of course.
You feel my pain?
So who has better lobbyists?
Well, obviously.
Well, then the ultimate lobbyists are the politicians themselves, right?
Yeah.
So, but I've seen it all. I've seen all of the sign wars against business owners, right? So the one thing that I could say is, if you have a sign code and it's fairly and done properly, you have to also, as the town yourself, whoever's enforcing,
right,
you have a responsibility, because you would say to them, well, why do we have a sign code? And they would say, well, we don't want our town looking like crap.
We don't want it looking like a swap meet's what I've heard. Some of my good
Correct.
friends say, Clint, we don't want it looking like a swap meet. What's it look like right now?
A swap meet. But what happens is, if you're living in Marana and Oro Valley, at least both towns look pretty nice, right? The city of Tucson, all right, they're Nazis on sign codes.
Yep.
But the town looks like hell.
Yeah.
Because they want to use it to put their thumb on the business owner. And they don't want to take care of their side of the of the bargain, right?
Well, if we got any small business owners right now from Tucson listening in, check out Reed versus Gilbert. Check it out. Go to the Supreme Court, and you'll see that the Supreme Court gave us a pretty wide runway to use.
It's like your HOA.
But how do you do it if you're one person? You're one business,
person. What?
You're a small business owner, and you're just trying to keep your coffee shop or your barber shop or whatever going. You don't have, like you mentioned, you don't have the lobbyists. Big business isn't affected by this. They just put up their monument sign out front, and away we go, and it's lit up, and they can see it from satellites. But the small guy puts his little sign out that says, "I've got."
So one thing is that I think we're going to Small Business 101, which is fine. Rabbit hole.
Yeah.
The Rabbit Hole podcast with Clint and Chris, is business owners are ignorant on sign code.
They are.
There are things they could take advantage of that they don't. Right? I've been with guys or gals with their business, and they're renting a spot, and it has backlit, patina copper signs because that's what the sign code says, and it's kind of tough to see them, and they're a little off the street. And I said, well, you can legally put a banner up in Marana. And they go, what?
Yep.
I said, you got to pay like $100, and you can only leave it up for 45 days or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I can do that?
Yeah.
And you do the same thing with an A-frame also, right? But they don't think about that, right? And then the other thing is, when was the last time you saw a local chamber of commerce do, here's a sign code primer session?
How about never?
I've never seen one.
That when I first started getting poked by the bear, and this is probably 10 years ago, and I won't name names, but a great friendship grew out of this. This was one of those bureaucrats that really was a good dude.
Sure.
His first name's Bill. I really like Bill. He's a good friend of mine.
Bill just got fired.
Yeah. No, he don't work there anymore. No. So I can say it. But he's a really good man. Matter of fact, he moved to Louisiana. But when he came and we had a conversation, I'm like, look, here's the way it's going to be, and don't take any of this personal because I don't know you. But here's how I feel about this, and I kind of gave in an abridged version of what I just gave you. And this was before Reed versus Gilbert, because we talked about that a lot. When Reed versus Gilbert happened, I called him on his phone. I had his personal cell phone. I'm like, hey, 9-0. We'll talk the next time you come by. But I asked him then, I need to see the sign code for Marana. Right. I know there one exists. And you know what? Bless his heart, the next day I had this ream of paper in front of me. And I'm sure someone's kid got paid by the word to write this thing.
Right.
But it's nonsense. That's what bureaucrats specialize in, isn't it?
I'm reading about Reed versus Gilbert right now. So this is the town of Gilbert.
Yes, town of Gilbert.
Not some dude named Gilbert.
Against the Reverend Reed is the gentleman's name.
In 2005, Gilbert, Arizona adopted a municipal sign ordinance that regulated the manner in which signs could be displayed in the public areas. The sign imposed stricter limitations on signs advertising religious services than those that displayed political or ideological messages.
There you go, already separation.
When the sign code compliance manager... How's that for a job?
Yeah.
Cited a local church for violating the ordinance. The church filed lawsuit, which they argued the town's sign regulations violated its First Amendment right to freedom of speech. Writing for the majority, Clarence Thomas held that the town sign ordinance imposed content-based restrictions that did not survive strict scrutiny because the ordinance was not narrowly tailored to further a compelling government interest.
9-0. 9-0. Keegan Justice Keegan said it was, if I'm not mistaken, she's the one that said it. It's laughable on its face.
Yeah, she said, actually, so Breyer and Kagan both wrote opinions concurring with Thomas, in which they argued that the content-based regulations should not always trigger strict scrutiny. Me talk good.
Yeah.
So,
And this was what, 2015, I think the Supreme Court finally got it, right?
let's see.
So there's a 10-year odyssey.
It was a 10-year odyssey.
Yeah. Kept getting rejected at the district levels.
And like again, not it was a 9-0.
And you know what he was doing? The little backstory to that, he was like in a grade school there in Gilbert, and he'd put his signs out on Saturday afternoon. He'd pick them up immediately after his church service was over on Sunday.
Right.
And they would go out on Saturday, which I didn't know bureaucrats worked on Saturday, but they'd go out on Saturday.
Sure they do.
And hammer him.
Again, so back to we started talking about political signs. Mm-hmm. Right. And so the question is political signs ever going to go away? Do you want them to go away?
Me personally, yes, but no, I don't think they're going to go. Well, you know why? Because the politicians are in charge of creating the laws that allow that to happen.
Right.
But again, we've got signs that have been up since the 1st of May. We are now, right now, at the date of this, mid-October. So they've been up, you do the math, 5 months? The ones that won their primary? They've been up 5 months.
I'm with you, bud.
When we're done, they'll be up 7 months because they won't get them picked up till December. And you know what happens? You know, there's a 15-day period that you got to pick your signs up following an election.
Sure.
Do you know what happens? A lot of them don't. And you know what they do? I know this for a fact. The municipality goes out and picks them up and saves them for them so they can come and get them.
That's nice.
How convenient is that?
Do they, when they take down your illegal signs, are they saving them for Copper Creek cookies?
No, they don't mess with my signs anymore. I just say Reed versus Gilbert. Go look it up.
So what I want to do is when I run for office, I want to get your big cinnamon roll signs and just put my name on it.
Put your face right in the middle of it there. Maybe a little cinnamon roll on you.
Vote for sweet and spicy Chris DeSimone. That's what we're going to do.
I can't wait for that. I cannot wait for that campaign. That's going to be fun.
No, it's going to happen one day, buddy.
I know it is.
It's going to happen.
I can't wait for that.
It's going to happen. All right, so we covered political. How are you feeling about this election? Do you care?
I care. I'm glad we're inside 28 days. I'm really glad about that. It's you know what? It's totally a toss up, isn't it? Although I lean, I'm not going to say, but I think we got a winner.
So I think
we're talking presidential.
We'll start there. I'll give you the whole kit and caboodle.
And I think we're pretty close.
People ask me this all the time because of what I do with Wake Up Tucson and being involved in races and things like that. Mm-hmm. I think the Trumper squeaks it.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
I think he squeaks it.
I think there's too many.
It shouldn't be a squeaker because she's such a train wreck.
Yeah.
She is not fit for being the president of the United States.
I agree.
And the other thing that I think the Trump campaign hasn't done well, and again, the Republicans sometimes we can just be the dumb party of dumb parties, is under Trump. I understand there's Trump hate. I got it. All right. Some of you listening like, I hate Trump. I always ask this question: is the 4 years of Trump and the 4 years of Biden-Harris, right? How did the average American citizen, this is really important.
Yeah.
How did the average American citizen fare in each of those 4 years?
Can I give you a James Carville?
Carville, yes.
It's the economy, stupid.
Right.
That's built Clinton's basically both shots of it, and that's where we're at right now. For the record, independent. I don't join cults of any kind. That's just straight up. But having said that, I have conservative leanings, especially when it comes to money. A lot of the other stuff I'm not as hip on. I mean, I know what I would do in those circumstances, but the money we got to be I don't mean squeeze every nickel, but we got to be thoughtful of how we use our resources because right now we're in a situation with all the hurricanes, and we've spent so many billions in other places I don't even know what we're doing in a lot of those cases. And now we have our own. I don't know. I'm not going to buy into the hype and all that. But I do know they're not getting billions in Florida and North Carolina and South Carolina and Georgia and places right now. I know that. So how are we allocating our resources is really important to me.
Well, the gaslighting by the media is really amazing. But I'll tell you this, right? So
you know how they're able to get away with that, though, Chris? Back to what we talk about. We've got a dumbed down society.
Yep.
Matter of fact, as soon as this meeting is over, I'm meeting with someone, and you've inspired this meeting to happen.
It's your parole officer.
No, they never caught me. It's about private schooling.
Oh, yeah.
Because you know what? I think we're, and I don't want to run off again. We're in a rabbit hole, but I don't think we can fix the problem we have. It's too big without alternative educational systems for our kids. Sometimes you just got to abandon the mud and abandon the blood and go where. I mean, I think of that line in The Godfather. We were talking, David and I were talking Godfather and Goodfellas. We did a movie review this morning.
Beautiful.
That line where they're talking about they're going to meet Sollozzo and Michael's going to go, and he's like, it can't wait.
Right.
It can't wait. Well, this education system, we can't wait to fix the problem. The wheels are off. We got to come up with another alternative right now to fix some of this problem, because the gaslighting is only happening. Do you think that would have happened in our parents' generation?
No.
Our parents would have looked at the TV and the newscaster and say, "Yeah, I'm not listening to you anymore. You're done." You gave a great example yesterday on Wake Up Tucson, shameless plug, KVOI.
Thank you.
1030 and 6 to 9. You were talking about, and I can't remember the gentleman's name, but one running against Representative Grajaba.
Daniel Gutierrez.
You gave, and I didn't know that story. You know why? Because I don't know enough about him. But you gave, I think I even mentioned, that's exactly why we're going to kill it over here at Live to Dream Media, because we're just going to tell the truth. The truth never hurt anybody. I mean, it might hurt, but at the end, the truth will set you free, Dr. Martin Luther King.
So
Thank you very much.
Legacy
Junior.
media, which is dying on the table.
Yeah.
Right? And you're talking about legacy education.
Yes.
Right?
Which is dying on the table.
Legacy education is over.
When our kids can't read or write, like large percentages of them can't read or write.
So that story I brought last week from the Atlantic about kids in Colombia that have never read a book, right? That is now catching fire. I'm starting to see that story now blow up everywhere.
I heard that at a meeting we were at on Saturday. I heard someone reference that particular article. Probably heard it from you, but...
Well, you heard it from me on Thursday, but
she heard it. I heard it repeated.
Oh, it was my friend Olga over at the Olga Taro from the they call it the mommy lobby, but it's literally, she's one of those really educated, concerned mothers.
Yeah. Now, we're talking college students here now. At a high level, by the way. We're not talking about some online, which nothing wrong with that.
So that legacy...
What was it, Columbia? You said?
Columbia.
Yeah.
Legacy education's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
If your kid's not is like, if you're in a high school right now, you're in a government public high school, and your kid is not on the AP baccalaureate circuit of that high school, they are getting unbelievably underserved in their education, right? And then when we go back down to elementary school, right? As you know, I hang out, I don't want to name who they are, but people that hang out in the literacy world, right? And they're telling me, even in the grand town of Marana, that what we're seeing is third and fifth graders, right? So here we are in 2024. So that fourth grader was the first grader in COVID.
Yep.
Right? And that fifth grader was the second grader. We're talking about the reading levels of those fourth and fifth graders will make a grown man like Clint Peak cry.
Yeah.
Because they got nothing. They got nothing. They were socially promoted. Okay. And because we had no room to hold them all back.
To me, it's criminal. I mean, literally criminal. You have a love for reading.
Yep.
I have a love for reading. Not everybody's going to have a love for reading. I get that. But if you're not exposed to it, how are you ever going to get an opportunity to learn to read, and maybe you'll love it? David's little kids. Matter of fact, I'm gonna really go rabbit hole here in a minute. But they're
Wow.
little. They reading their books.
Our whole goal here is to do a 1 hour show of one rabbit hole to the other.
Okay, here
we will
it
not
is.
have one coherent full discussion here, which is great.
Got a text from him Saturday. David, his 3-year-old daughter, sees a book at the public library.
Yeah, he was just telling me the story coming in. But you can tell the story.
Are you kidding me right now? She picks this up. It's cute. It's a kid's book.
Yeah.
Got some beautiful art, lots of pinks and blues and stuff on it. They get it home. Let me just say, and this is the closest I'm going to come to using vulgarity, and these are not vulgarity. These are just
Wow.
technical words. The book that's geared for 3-year-olds includes the words penis and vagina.
That's what the kid in kindergarten cop said. Men have penises, women have vaginas, if you remember that.
3 years old. This book is
And
being
this
written for
and
3
this, and
years
this
old.
is literally, it's actually a grooming book
Absolutely.
because they're
Now,
basically.
if you as a parent want to use those terms at home with your children, those are clinical terms, or they are. But
you could, so using those terms is a problem for that age, and at the
But
same
that's
time,
not all the book
But it's
detailed.
it's a grooming book,
that's
right?
not all the book
You don't
detailed.
have to be a girl if you're a girl. You don't have to be a
I feel
boy
like
if you're
a
a
boy.
boy. All that jazz.
Stop it.
Okay. So again, parents have to pay. How many parents aren't paying attention? So
Well,
Dave and his
apparently
wife
most-
are paying attention.
Apparently, most of them.
They're not. Well, they're not.
And right now, with go back to kind of like where we're at in the environment politically and stuff. A lot of it is I'm not going to give parents a pass ever. Ever. But if you're struggling to pay the mortgage and buy groceries and you got a lot of other stresses, that does factor in. I'm going to give you about that much of a pass because there are other extenuating circumstances that you're dealing with. But if your kid can't read or write, you probably know that, don't you?
So what's the opportunities for hope in this discussion?
Yeah.
All right, because we could just slice our throats and hide under the table in the fetal position.
Well, again, meeting that I'm going to as soon as this conversation's over. Parents that are proactive with their children,
Yep.
they're already doing some stuff.
Yep.
And I'm going to sit down because you've inspired me a year or two ago to take the resources that we have available to us right now, $7,000 with the ESA. I may be rounding it off a little bit.
Yep.
And pool those resources into how we can get the best value of that. And then people like myself, we're going to, I don't have kids in school.
So the nerds,
We're gonna support that.
What Clint is talking about, the nerds are talking about what they would call it microschooling, where basically you find 10 kids, 7,000 a kid, $70,000. You find a teacher, and you pay the teacher a hell of a way better than they would get at a public school, and then you have a little money left over for activities. And
I want to
things
go
like that.
beyond that a little bit, though.
Yeah.
I want to everything you said, but let's expand the number a little bit so we can have more teachers that specialize in certain areas.
I'd give all those kids free internships on learn how to make cinnamon rolls.
There you go. I can do that.
And
I can do that. No, hope. There is hope. There is hope. This is gloom and doom, but there's plenty of hope.
no, the hope is what you're talking about, right?
Get involved in your communities. Quit blaming everybody. If you're a parent at home, quit blaming people.
But the enemy here is ignorance,
it's
right?
the
Because
devil first, but it's ignorance
once
second.
you understand that there's a problem, and that there's options,
Yeah.
if you love your kid, you're going to take those options.
Let me ask you something. Do you have? I know your kids are both out of school now. No, your son's still in school.
Nope. Everyone's out.
Everybody's out. Okay, and yet it's still one of the most passionate things that you care about.
This is the future of society, buddy.
right?
This is the future of society.
My kids aren't in school.
Future of society is.
I want to educate this, and I've said it numerous times. I'm going to say it again. It's selfish on my part, and they're going, wait.
So
you know why? I want the smartest people possible taking care of me as I get older.
So I need a bigger critical mass of people with critical thinking skills.
Yeah.
But I can only get the critical thinking skills through, first of all, learning how to read.
Yep.
Right,
And then do a little math while you're at it. That's
doing
kind
math.
of important.
Oh, that's very important. All right. But what I'm saying is I need critical thinking skills supported by the basics.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have a critical mass of human beings in America that can critically think, society is a much better place.
And then it's not blue or red or purple. Then it's Are we moving forward or are we falling behind?
So if you're educated, you're not just going to keep eating the slop that's being fed to you. That's where we're at. Yeah. So all in the last week, DeSimone has been called a rhino. I'm a rhino in name only because I think Justine Wadsack is a nut, right? Or because I was moderating this forum with Dan Shearer from the Green Valley News. Some lefty blog goes after me and says, "Oh, this is a joke of a moderator because of a forum because they got a right-wing guy who spews MAGA Donald Trump stuff." And I'm like,
what's with all the labels?
Well, that's all I got.
Or is that where we become? And we're going.
Oh, it's just
you know what?
hits.
But we've been doing this forever, Chris. Biblical. I mentioned it off camera, I think, a minute ago. Scribes. I'm glad I'm not like the scribes. Well, I'm glad I'm not like the Pharisees. We've been doing this forever. Just stop it.
So
love your neighbor as yourself is the second commandment. And look, I don't care where you vote. I really don't.
So when you talk about the degradation of government, education, and faith, right, and churches over the last
faith,
50
family,
years,
schools, baby,
right, is the idea that if I can critically think, if I'm exposed to bad government bureaucrats, bad pastors, priests, or rabbis, or bad professors, teachers, I'll know it.
Yep.
But the problem is America's parents have abdicated the responsibility of being parents between the times of 7:30 in the morning and 5 at night if they can get away with it. Right?
Yep.
And so I understand one of the parents really needed to have a job that pays $43,000 to prepare PowerPoint slides. All right? Instead of raising your kid. All right. So what happened was, this is perfect for the government, right? You handed your kid over to a government school for 8 hours a day, right? And Pima County is now paying for free preschool.
Yeah.
Right. So in these critical years, you want to talk about critical years of K through 3 for reading. It's critical years for everything. And there's a huge portion of our parents that are just throwing these kids into, it's like the orphanages of like Charles Dickens. Yeah. We're just throwing the kids to the government.
Hey, Chris, this is the devil at the root of all this. Think about what we're talking about. What does the devil want to do more than anything else? He wants to break up the family. So when mom went to work, it was in the beginning, it was more the war cause. We're going to help everybody out. Now then it became, well, we want a bigger house or we want a bigger car. And what happened was the family just got, I read the other day that 25% of all young adults are estranged from their family. 25%, that's a big number that just don't get along. They don't, matter of fact, I haven't spoke to my parents in 30 years. Now, I don't know who's to blame for this. I have no idea. Well, maybe a little bit of both. But.
In the end, the parents blew it early.
Yes.
90% of the time, the parents blew it early. So, as you know, in basics of family psychology, mothers usually have a very strong connection to their sons, and fathers have a very strong connection with their daughters. Right? That's just the way it naturally works. Okay. Well, what happened was when we have these mothers that say, why doesn't my son blank? Why doesn't he have this relationship with me? It's because you didn't raise him the first so many years. You raised him part-time. Right?
Barry Goldwater, I remember in his older years, I remember this thing happening, and he talked about that very thing. He said his dad was a great guy. He said, I love my dad, but my mom gave me my love of photography. My mom gave me this. She gave me that. And I used to say I don't say it anymore, but to my bride, look, that's the way it works.
Yep.
Our kids are going to love you when they're older, but they're going to respect me like crazy because I parent. She come from a broken home. She didn't have the same examples I had. I'm not saying she's a bad mother by any means. She's an awesome mother. You want somebody to fight your fight, she's your gal.
Yep.
But on the same token, there has to be stability and you know what? That's our role. That is the role of dads sometimes we got to be the bad guy.
So my wife and I always told the kids, we're not here to be your friends.
Oh,
we're not here to be your friends.
Yeah.
Right? Our job is to raise good human beings, and mom and dad are going to say words like no.
Yeah, a lot.
Right? And you know something? I love where my kids are at.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And I remember a friend of mine who's older than me said, man, you've done such a good job. You love your kids now. Wait till they get into their 20s.
Yeah.
Then you're going to, as they're figuring out their
Yeah.
lives, it's such an exciting time.
Well, I'm going to say to you, wait till they get in their 30s.
Right.
It only gets better.
Yeah.
It only gets better because you're in the front side of 20, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like
The
early
oldest
20s.
is 23.
Yeah. So
24.
wait till they're 30, 35.
But in the end, boys and girls, here's back to the hope. We want got to a little more explanation. The hope is that charter schools, private schools, ESAs, and academic freedom is growing. It's not shrinking, no matter how much.
No.
It's a Democrat problem. They're so tied to the teachers union, they want to crush these things.
Yeah.
And the teachers union, I can say this because we're on a podcast. You guys are pieces of shit. Now, sorry. Now, I will tell you, because you haven't done anything.
You ain't wrong.
Right? You haven't supported the kids. You haven't supported the teachers. You haven't supported the parents. And you're supposed to, you haven't provided a safe workplace for your teachers.
You know what? I know a lot of teachers that I trust,
it's my first
respect,
profane word in media.
That I love, that I care about. And you know what? Everything you just said is true. They're not getting any support from the union. Are you kidding me? Put it up. Let's just ignore that problem. And in most cases, they're not getting any. There are exceptions. Dan Streeter, Marana.
I got to see if I got a buddy Lawrence, and he taught in TUSD and Sunnyside and Amphi for years.
Yeah.
He's back in Amphi. And he was the one who was never part of the union, even though he taught at TUSD. That's a slog.
Yeah.
It was the right thing to do,
Yeah.
but that's a slog.
Yeah.
Because the pressure that's put on you.
And you know
is off
one
the
other thing
charts.
about, you mentioned hope, and it just comes to me. Here's another piece of hope. There are a lot of people like Chris and I out there that don't have children. We don't actually have a dog in the fight at this game. At some point,
But we do have a dog in the fight.
We'll have grandchildren. I'm
Nope.
just talking about. But here's the thing. But here's the
continue
thing.
your thought out.
But here's the thing. We do have a dog in the fight because, again, what I said before, I want as many smart people around me as I possibly can. I don't care whether you're a road builder, you work at the gas station, you're a
Amen, brother.
shelf stocker,
Preach.
you're a lawyer, you're an accountant, you're in medical. Do you think as we get older we don't want smart medical people?
That's hard to find.
Come on. So what I'm saying to all you parents out there, they're struggling. There's some parents struggling like crazy.
Yep.
There are a lot of people out there like you and I, thousands in this area that want to help your kids.
You know, it was a silver lining blessing in this battle, COVID.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why.
Exposed.
It exposed it all. Right. So I forgot. I was at some discussion, and the speaker said that one of the big silver linings of COVID was the idea that it exposed everyone on who they are.
Yeah.
They know who's there to help
Yeah.
and who's there to hurt and who's there to take advantage of a situation and who's there to stand by principles and the Constitution and things like this. Right.
Yeah.
And so what's happened is the kids that are 15 to 25, the Gen Zers, right? They got screwed.
Yeah.
And they and the facade came off.
Yeah. And they know, and they're smart enough, a lot of them, to know that.
Correct.
You guys screwed me.
They're also, like I see it with my 20-year-olds in my life, they were the last crew, right, that didn't grow up with cell phones.
Yeah.
Cell phones got popular when they were in their teens, but they all read paper books.
Yeah.
Right? And they all had possibly one of the last vestiges of a decent education.
Yeah.
Right? And they saw the way COVID was handled, and they know the jig is up, man, and they got it. So I have a lot of Gen X, the 30 to 40 year, they're useless. Yeah. Some of you are good. So 90% of you are useless. Yeah. You're the wusses that just keep kissing power's ass, right?
And my generation, I'm a Joneser. We determined that. But these baby boomers,
a Joneser.
I'm a Jones. Remember
what's a Joneser?
The Joneser. There's a new group of the baby boomers. Like the last.
This is not the Kool-Aid guy.
Yeah, no, no, not him. But Jonesers are the last part of the last half of the boomers because we're different from. I was born in '58, so I'm not in that same group with the people born in '46 coming out of the war.
Right.
And those are the people. Remember who these people were in the '60s. They were all free love. We love everybody, right? They're the ones doing all this draconian crap that's coming down the pike, especially with COVID. That's the ones that are doing this. The people that loved everybody and everybody's the coolest and we're all family and all that, the people that spoke that the loudest are the ones that are wanting to shut us in our room.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, I have a lot of faith in the 15 to 25ers.
Way more. I'll go a little further. I'll go to 30 because I know a lot of people 35 and under.
I see a lot of 30 to 40-year-olds that are just they're just
maybe I'm lucky because
in your little circle.
David 35.
Right.
All these and Raul 24.
Well, he's in the right. Raul's in the right thing.
So that matter of fact,
I see these 30 and 4-year-olds, and I see them in these various like positions at either the U of A or various business groups, and they are the status quo.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, you know, I'm
wake up Tucson.
Yeah.
They're go to sleep Tucson.
Yeah. I see it. I don't want to broad stroke everybody, but yeah. Hey, I want to plug one of my dear friends, Craig Coulter, today. And
I'm sick of talking about
Pastor
Craig Coulter. No,
Pastor Craig Coulter, and he said something.
Man.
He's a great man. He said something once, and we quoted a lot in our family. He said, "Look," he's talking about raising kids. If you didn't do a good job raising your children, what makes you think they're going to come back around when they become adults?
Oh, it's over.
If you didn't, that doesn't mean you're giving in to your kids. Matter of fact, if anything, you're kind of there's some rules, there's some regulations, there's some discipline.
But the thing about
there's
it,
a lot.
Unless you are a total
love.
psycho to your kids, there's always a chance to come back with your kids. You just have to take the steps.
But you know what? There's a lot of psychos out there, dude.
I know.
There's a lot of crazy people out there right now. But back to the hope. A lot of people have. If you're parenting children right now, there's a lot of people have your back that are really, really, really rooting for you.
So right now, if you're a parent, just keep your kid out of a K-12 school, government school, as best as you can.
Yeah,
I'd send them to a charter or a private if you can afford it, or ESA
or homeschool them. Yeah.
You know, if you don't have any good charter high schools, then go charter through K through 8, Lehman, Legacy, Basis if you want your kid to have no personality, but they're better than the average school. Yeah. And then they'll be so good at that point, they can go to any high school they want, go into the AP program, and get into most colleges that are probably appropriate for them if that's their thing. You know, but
or how about considering the trade?
Now the trade is the other hope thing, but I still need them to read.
Oh, you got to no. I'm talking about once they're hit 18 and they're choosing between college or a trade.
Agreed.
No. We're not welding.
Oh, I make fun of the chambers of commerce people in this town because they always like to say workforce development. It's their cover, right? But they don't do anything about the reading problem.
We need some welders. We need some builders. We need air conditioning dudes.
Absolutely,
and dudettes. I see the money that some of these people are making in these professions that are more blue collar, if you will. A lot of these kids are starting at 100G, 80G.
Absolutely.
18, maybe not 18, but by 22, if they've done their apprenticeship, they're making $75,000 a year with no debt.
All right, let's finish the show. What's the last good movie Clint's watched that you would recommend to people? I don't care if it's an old movie, new movie.
The last movie I watched.
Don't say The Founder.
The last movie
I watched, The Founder.
I watched it Saturday. It's free on Pluto. Godfather 1.
It's got it all.
It's got. We discussed it briefly earlier. It's got everything you'd want. Now look, if you're a little squeamish, there's probably this might not be for you. But I think it's Business 101. David and I went down that rabbit hole earlier. It's got everything there that you would want. I'm going to watch 2 this weekend. But what's the last movie you watched? Because I'm going to think about what I've watched previous beyond the old standbys.
So it's a movie that is below a lot of people's radar, but it's an excellent movie. It's called The Last Hurrah. Hurrah. Black and white movie. John Ford directed it. Okay. Lead is Spencer Tracy.
I like that.
And then it has Pat O'Brien, Jeffrey Hunter, a huge cast.
I don't think I've
Basil
seen that.
Rathbone. There's a whole bunch of people. John Carradine Sr., everything. So what it is, it's based on this book. I got the book. The book's great. And Spencer Tracy plays this guy named Frank Skeffington, who is a long-term, multiple-term mayor of a small New England city. And it's interesting. So he's got a great, he's very, it's really explains the dynamics of small town politics.
Yeah.
And what happens is he's running for another election. That's what this is about. Him running for the last time for mayor. So he's part of because he's an Irish Catholic, but in New England, you still have the rich Puritan guys who can't stand the Irish. And so they're the guy, like one guy owns the newspaper, the other guy owns the bank, and they run a candidate against Frank Skeffington. That's the Spencer Tracy. And so it's fascinating. And then one of the lines you're going to like is Donald Crisp. He played the dad in the original Lassie. He was in How Green Was My Valley. You would know he plays the local Catholic cardinal who grew up in the slums with Frank, okay? And they're watching a TV interview that's obviously the over-the-top staged interview with the challenger. And he has a discussion with his Monsignor, he goes, it's so timeless. He goes, is this the kind of mealy-mouth mush we're graduating from our colleges? And they have a conversation, you're going to love it. Why do all the bad people go into running for office? And it's great. So,
and when was this, 1946?
50s.
Okay.
Black and white 50s, last hurrah.
We've been writing it. Look.
Human nature
is just it's just from the beginning of time. From the beginning of recorded history. That's just the way it's been.
Whenever you read if you want to go any of the ancient texts out there, whether it's your New and Old Testament, Greek texts, stuff from Buddha. Well, I don't care where it's from. Human nature is human nature is human nature.
We've evolved. We got a lot more toys and trinkets. We can share stuff. So, what a great time to be alive, by the way.
Absolutely. So the one that I share in the world of the life of Buddha in relation to politics and being a human being is he was a prince. Right, and his dad was rich, and his dad did not want him to see the tough things of the world. Yeah. And what happened was he trapped him in the palace. He wasn't allowed out, but either guards or hot women. Their job was to trap him in the palace. Yep. Right, and so what happened was he snuck out.
Yeah.
3 different times, and he saw a variety of woe of the world. Yeah. And that's when he finally started on the world that there's something. I'm in a daze here. Yeah. And this on his road to becoming, quote, the Buddha started with him breaking out of his palace. Yeah. Well, his something?
Comfort zone.
Right. It's one of the big comfort zones, that story, right? And we're in our comfort zones, right?
Exactly.
Right. We're in our house.
We're being spoon fed right now, what we should think, what we should wear, what we should see.
When was that text written, right? Thousands of years ago.
Thousands.
And so human nature is human nature is human nature. Yeah. So, all right, next week's huge.
It is.
The 16th.
Yes.
There's 3 big things going on.
All kinds of crazy
First of all, the ribbon cutting of the Fry's supermarket.
Yeah.
And Clint will be in the field.
Yes.
With Mayor Ed.
Yes.
Cutting ribbons.
Yes.
And going to the cheese shop inside and getting camera bags.
Well, I don't know about the second part. But the first part, yes.
So that's going down.
Because I got to hustle back over here.
Correct. And then we have Juan Ciscomani, U.S. Congressman, will be in studio with us.
Beautiful.
Next Wednesday.
And we have Dan Streeter, MUSD Superintendent, in studio with us prior to Juan Ciscomani.
Oh, look at that. Big day at the Live the Dream Media.
Yeah.
And then later that night is the Wake Up Tucson happy hour at Inca's Peruvian on Colbin Sunrise.
And that's at what,
5:30. 5:30 Colbin Sunrise. She does a great party. Live music. The food's great. Wow.
Look at that.
We should do a Wake Up Tucson or Live the Dream Media limbo party. Yeah. See who could do it.
Hey, there's a little birdie that's told me there's a little something going on here at Top in the middle of November. We'll probably be talking about that next week, I'm guessing.
This is the Golden Bachelorette party?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I need to know. All right, Ron Arenas, thanks for all your efforts. And Raul, always appreciate what you guys are doing in the old meat locker there. Yep. Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
Clint, thanks for we that was the ultimate rabbit hole.
Yeah.
The boys always say, what are you guys going to talk about today? I go, I don't know.
Yeah.
And we,
No clue.
we didn't have time for your quiz today. Not that I didn't even do one today.
Rabbit hole, rabbit hole, rabbit hole.
All right. Thanks for joining the Rabbit Hole Working Title Podcast.
Yeah. Hey, be nice to each other.
On the Live the Dream Media Network. And remember, we have an app. We want you to download it. It's on Apple or Google or the Google Play Store. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Clinton,
hey, read a book.
Read a damn book. No, and read
and
a
get your kids to read a book, too, while you're at it.
Read a paper book, too.
Yeah.
Read a paper book. Have paper books, because one day they're going to start cleaning the they're going to start sanitizing the text.
Yeah.
So, all right. Live the Dream Media. You guys live the dream. Chris and Clint, we're out.
Yep.
And have a great day.
Thank you.
Later.
Beautiful.